Senator Barrister Kmer says fire has taken over the Temple of Justice in the Republic of Cameroon. He was speaking to Equinox Television after the standoff between lawyers and security and defense forces at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, yesterday. Thank you, dear viewers, for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime newscast on Equinox Television. We are broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Babla Jonathan. We'll start with this incident yesterday at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, where lawyers and the security and defense forces got into a violent confrontation during the trial of some lawyers accused of corruption and contempt of court. We go back to that incident with Fomi Armstrong Sander in this report.
Police with tear gas brutalizing lawyers inside a courtroom. This shocking, unusual and never seen scenario is produced at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance, Vori Division of the Lithura region of Cameroon. Happening in the late hours of Wednesday, November the 3rd, 2020. The security officials reportedly stormed the courtroom upon instructions from the court authorities.
Ça a commencé en 2016 en zone anglophone. Vous avez ordonné aux policiers de piétiner les avocats et de marcher sur leur ordre. Aujourd'hui, le Cameroun est à feu et à sang. Ça ne dit rien en personne.
Several lawyers severely wounded. The lawyers were standing against the refusal of the judge to grant bail to their colleagues, Barrister Wanton Augustin and Barrister Annie Christel, who were remanded in custody at the Newberg Central Prison on Monday, November the 9th, 2020. The lawyers do not understand why a bail should be denied for a case that bail can be granted. Barristers Wanton Augustin and Annie Christel are implicated in a corruption-related case.
Fire in the Temple of Justice. This is how a member of Cameroon's upper house of parliament, Senator Barrister Kmer, qualified this incident. He is a former member of the Cameroon Bar Council and former representative of the Cameroon Bar Council president in the northwest region of the country. And as a legal mind, he condemned what is qualified as the brutal treatment of legal minds or lawyers by security and defense forces yesterday during that trial at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And he spoke to ETV's Mbostella in Bamenda. Take a listen.
You will not meet up with the cultural heritage of whom the Anglophone Cameroonian is. The same criminal procedure code and all whatnot. Soon, and with the same institution training the magistrates, and with what happened recently where from whom magistrates were sent without consideration for where they are going to practice. If we don't make it constitutionally, we don't make it a constitutional provision, who should be sent this way, the same thing will soon come to the Anglophone regions of the country. The same bad practice of denial of bail being the exception, will soon overrun our common law jurisdiction, our hitherto common law jurisdictions, before he is tried. That is why in Francophone Cameroon or under the civil law system, the presumption is commonly that of guilt. Yes, but if you presume that somebody is guilty, must you presume the penalty that will be, the sentence that will be given by the judge? You must not presume the sentence that will be given by the judge. Why do you know that there is going to be detention, that you are detaining him already before the hearing? How do you know there is going to be detention? You are now telling the judge that he has no latitude to give you a suspended sentence. That is wrong. And it shows that justice is dished out by instructions. If that judge is independent, he has to grant bail if he has the guarantees, the reasonable sureties and guarantees. He has to grant bail in order that at the end of the day his judgment is not tampered with. He has a discretion. He is a judge over the matter. So they can give the judgment that the case merits. It can be suspended sentence, I repeat. It can be fined. It mustn't necessarily be confinement, but sentenced by confinement. That's my position. Even a litigant who is put to his trial at the wee hours of the morning after he had dozed off, he is no longer in his normal state to be able to ensure his defense, to be able to defend his interests. The lawyers themselves, I don't even think the magistrates work with a good frame of mind at night, at the wee hours of the morning, to be able to render justice. It is unfair. It's unfair hearing, to hear matters overnight. What an embarrassment did it constitute to the local community, people who are sleeping, to hear gunshots in the courtroom. It disturbs even the peace of the environment. In fact, nocturnal trials don't give rise to fair hearings. It is unwarranted, and the ministry needs to review court hours in order to avoid nocturnal trials.
Yes, Minister.
Yes. This press statement is made this 11th day of November 2020 by Senator Barrister Kmer Henry Gamsey on yesterday's event before the Bonanjo Douala Court of First Instance. Having been requested by some friends of the press to make a statement with regard to the above mentioned incident before the Bonanjo Douala Court of First Instance, which I prefer to describe as, in quotes, fire at the temple of justice, permit me hereby put it in writing in order that I limit the facts to what has been gathered so far. Suffice it to state that I was awake, and it is important, Madam, to let the public understand that this press statement, it is with regard to what I perceive as an individual lawyer, former member of the Bar Council and Batonese representative of Northwest Region, and as a stakeholder as far as the Cameroon Bar Association is concerned, because with the allegations that we are hearing, it has the impact of tarnishing the image of the Cameroon Bar Association, where I'm a member thereof, and as a sitting senator who dedicates his being a senator to the profession that I'm in. It is thanks to the fact that I'm a lawyer, a barrister. It's an embarrassment to any good, to any functional democracy and to any functional judiciary that more people are detained, awaiting trial, than they are convicted. And I want to tell you, about 3/4 from my experience, 20-something years of practice, I've discovered, as a matter of fact, that out of the cases that go to court, about 3/4, they end up with a discharge and acquittal. But among these 3/4 of cases that are discharged and acquitted, people are discharged and acquitted. There are people, about 3/4 of the persons who undergo those trials that end up with discharge and acquittal, they have suffered unwarranted detentions. I will say, and the Cameroon Bar will continue saying that it is unwarranted, it is illegal, it is unconstitutional. It is against the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The reverse should be true. People should be presumed innocent until their guilt is established. And for that reason, Bail should be a matter of right.
Senator Barrister Kemende speaking there, indicating that it is uncalled for, it is unconstitutional, it is against the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What happened yesterday at the Bona Jakarta first instance here in Douala, where some lawyers got injured in the standoff with security and defense forces during the trial of some of them accused of corruption and contempt of court. And this is similar to what happened about 4 years down memory lane, when lawyers were flocked by security and defense forces on the streets of Anglophone Cameroon. Some flocked in the offices, and this is part of the incident that degenerated and provoked what is today known as the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, an armed conflict that has killed hundreds of thousands displaced, and who are now internally displaced persons seeking refuge in different parts of the country, while others are refugees in neighboring Nigeria. And the government of the Republic of Cameroon has been applying a security strategy on the line to put an end to the secessionist activities, while also using dialogue and other strategies to restore peace and normalcy in the two English-speaking regions of the country. And some of the persons who took up arms are now in disarmament, demobilization and reintegration centers, going through a reintegration process. Some of them in the DDR center in the Bamenda have been cautioned to avoid drug consumption and all other illegal activities in order to facilitate their reintegration in normal life. Stella reports.
For disarmament, demobilization and reintegration in Bamenda on different dates and from different localities in the northwest region. These ex-combatants, we are told, abandoned the cause they took up arms to fight for. They now say they were misled.
We know we have done a lot of atrocities. We have committed a lot of errors behind. It is not due to our own faults, but because we were being deceived.
The journey to the DDR has been deadly, but these 162 presently at the center survived it.
So many tried reaching DDR, but they did not succeed, and they died on their way.
In 2019, the center reintegrated her first batch of 32 ex-combatants. The second batch, the divisional officer for Bamenda 2 says, must shun the consumption of drugs so as to facilitate their reintegration process. A phenomenon Henry, director of the center, says they are fighting against.
Most of them went into the bushes under the influence of drugs. So all habits die hard. However, we are fighting hard with our technical staff, and we are making sure that a good number of them are going out of it. It is a gradual process.
Chenyu Peter, mayor of Bamenda 2, visits the center to hand these items and also to encourage they who are here not to give up on the path they have chosen.
It's the place of the council and the elites to stand behind these children of surrender, to encourage others from the bush to come out. Because if we stay behind, they will do nothing. It is high time that we support these guys. We can recruit them, give them jobs, scholarships, and the rest to encourage others. I've encouraged them to call their friends, their brothers and sisters who are out there to come and join us.
The items consisting of sanitary pads, food and toiletries were handed to the regional coordinator Sixtus Gapsa, who says will go a long way to cement the relationship between the ex-fighters and the council and also encourage others to drop their arms.
And the 4-year-long crisis has dealt a serious blow on the councils in several parts of the two English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Some of the councils have been shut down. Some are functioning and at the very low rate with regards to income collection. Many of the councils have been unable to collect even half of the money they were collecting before 2016, before late 2016, and council revenue has significantly dropped. This is one of the issues that were on the discussion table during the last council session in the Limbe 3 subdivision, southwest region of Cameroon. Davidson Maimo has more.
Limbe 3 is probably the only council in Fako where the mayor is obliged to go to the office on a bike.
For close to 3 years, the road has been the cry of the people of Limbe 3 subdivision, where crayfish, locally known as njanga, is most produced in Cameroon.
The tarring of our roads to improve access and consequently create opportunities for trade, tourism, education, health, housing and others.
The populace accusing the contractor not just to have abandoned the project, but to have worsened the road situation.
Despite the cry of distress from traditional authorities and the population of this municipality, the Superman contractor has given a deaf ear to our deplorable plight.
Speaking during the session, the mayor equally reveals that for the past 2 years, the council revenue collection has witnessed a drastic decline, thereby retarding the development of the municipality.
Reflects the crippling effects of the socio-political and security challenges currently prevailing in the northwest and southwest.
Another issue addressed to the supervisory authority of councils in Fako Division, the senior divisional officer, was a denial for the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, and the government of Cameroon to allocate land for a housing project whose loan has been obtained already.
Priority seems to be given to family meetings, churches, orphanages, and non-governmental organizations, rather than to a council that will use the land for development to improve the life of the people. We shall definitely lose this project if something is not done and done fast.
Limbe 3 subdivision rich in touristic potentials such as the slave trade village, the German lighthouse, Second World War cannons, Bimbia Botanical Forest reserved with hundreds of different species of plant, some more than 500 years, is one of the sites tourists or visitors shall visit during the African Championship and African Cup of Nations tournament respectively. Yet, there are no signs from the government of Cameroon preparing the area to welcome visitors.
4 teenagers behind bars at the Gendarmerie Brigade in the Douala 5 subdivision, the Bepanda Gendarmerie Brigade, and the accused of having gang raped a young girl in that part of the country. And Equinox Television went investigating, finding out what exactly happened. Smanjigan Gabriel compiled this report.
It is at this residence situated behind the Makepe Misoke market in the Douala 5 municipality that the ugly incident took place. Upon our arrival, the door of the room where the incident occurred has been repaired and locked with a new padlock. The compound quiet, no one found within it. Our next stop was at the Presbyterian General Hospital in Bepanda, where 3 of the victims hospitalized have just gained consciousness, though they were transferred to the hospital facility in a very ugly condition.
Those children were brought yesterday around 3 p.m. 2 were unconscious, and 1 young girl was very agitated. So it was reported that they were sitting in the midst of 9 other children, seems to be the same age, 15, 16 and 19. So and it's like they have some intercourse among them. So still we are still to determine how it happened. And there seems like to be drunk with some alcoholic stuff and cigarette.
According to one of the teenagers, they arrived on campus late, and one of their friends invited them for a birthday party. 3 bottles of whiskey were already waiting for them to consume. Unfortunately, as the ladies drank, the boys kept washing as they did not drink until one of them collapsed.
C'est là que maintenant ma copine s'est tombée, non, j'ai eu peur maintenant, elle commençait à crier. Celui c'était tombé depuis, il avait à vomir partout.
Looking at the state at which they were carried to the hospital, when asked if they were raped, both said no.
Non, personne m'a touché là-bas. J'étais juste assise, non. Ce sont les autres filles là qui dansaient, elles étaient en train de danser. Non, ils n'ont pas couché avec moi. C'est même pas que j'étais faible, non, mais c'est qu'on parlait, ils pouvaient bien entendre. Si on me touchait, oui, ils devaient connaître, mais personne ne m'ont touché. Parce que c'était toujours certains gars de notre quartier.
But the doctor debunked their response.
On examination, the first young girl was unconscious. We saw a lot of bruises in the vagina. She had vaginal bruises and no physical abusement was notified. The breasts were okay, the head was okay, but she was unconscious. So the second lady that we examined, we saw also vaginal bruises for the second lady who was agitated, but physically nothing was notified as harassment. Yes, so, but the young boy was there who was vomiting throughout. As we did not see anything suspicious on the penis or in the anus, so we checked thoroughly everything. Both of them, physically it was fine. So although for men it's difficult to evaluate because men are actually you must see in the midst of the activity to discover.
Unfortunately, all tests the doctors did are still to be paid by the parents who complained of poverty. At the Gendarmerie Brigade in Bepanda, some of the actors in the act are behind bars, but they claim not guilty of the accusation levied on them.
Lorsqu'ils ont trop consommé d'alcool, ils ont commencé à saouler, d'autres étaient ivres.
As they overconsumed alcohol, they started shouting. The women at the market came thinking we had something else. The mothers now started having negative thoughts. That is how they went and called the quarterhead and later the security officials who came and arrested us.
On leur expliquait la même chose. Ils ont demandé le numéro de leurs parents. On a donné le numéro de leurs parents. Maintenant, ils sont partis. Les mêmes maintenant sont partis appeler la police, la gendarmerie. La gendarmerie sont venus nous amener.
Our attempt trying to talk with the parents of these kids proved futile as the parents say they lack words to describe what has happened and are shocked at what their kids could do. At Collège de la Maturité in Makepe, where the teenagers are expected to be in class, the school supervisor, while accepting that the teenagers were of the institution, he said a special assembly took place this Wednesday to sensitize the kids. With the latest incident that occurred, many parents say school authority should be capable to inform parents when their kids are sent away because they came to school late.
3 college girls allegedly gang raped by some young men who are now behind bars, and while civil society and human rights activists are urging the judicial authorities to severely punish all those found guilty of rape, they are also indicating that there is no explanation for rape, there is no justification for rape, and all those found guilty of rape should be severely punished in order to discourage such use in our society. Diabetes remains a major health problem in the Republic of Cameroon, where public health authorities are fighting the disease. There is an increasing rate of this health problem in the Cameroonian society, and this is why a diabetes campaign was organized today at the General Hospital here in Douala. That campaign, which was aimed at sensitizing the population on the consequences of diabetes, came up at a time when there is growing concern over the devastating impact of diabetes in the Cameroonian society. Today, the 2 types of diabetes, talked about by the medical experts during that sensitization campaign, and notably diabetes, two types that were discussed: diabetes type 1, and of course also called juvenile diabetes, and of course insulin dependent diabetes, which is an insulin system disorder, while the type 2 diabetes is related to insulin resistance, whereby the patients are unable to fight the diabetes, the problem in their human organ. Take a listen to one of the diabetes patients.
I had a wound on my foot, and I realized that each time I took something that was very sweet, the wound will be very painful. So I went to the hospital, and they sent me to go and do fasting blood sugar. I had gone to the hospital without eating, so I went for fasting blood sugar, and my fasting blood sugar was high. I really want to eat something that is sweet. Sometimes I want to drink something that is sweet. Sometimes you want to eat something that you really like very much and in large quantities. And when you do it, your sugar level goes up. And there's this free campaign, you come out, because I've learned so much here today. What the lecturers are giving is very interesting for us who are diabetic. And so it's going to help us concerning our nutrition, concerning our daily life, and we'll just live like all other people. Everybody who has a diabetic problem should see a specialist, because when you meet a specialist, you are well informed. A specialist may give you a chart, a nutrition chart that you follow, and you know how to live well.
Ethiopia's prime minister has rejected calls for peace talks as the conflict in Tigray deepens, and Tigray's leader Debretsion Gebremichael wrote to the African Union last week to request talks, but PM Abiy Ahmed said in a tweet that there will be no dialogue until efforts to ascertain the rule of law achieved. Hundreds have been killed since the conflict in Ethiopia's northern region erupted last week. The PM ordered a military offensive after an army base in the Tigrayan capital, Mekelle, was taken over by forces loyal to the regional government of Tigray. Tension between Tigrayan leaders and the federal government have been worsening for months. And that's it for today. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinox Wise up next.